Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I have for you a video about how to assemble a very simple entry-level Magic Finder character. Some people asked in the comments of the last video to see a guide for how to put this thing together. So I'm gonna show you first how it works in a map, which is gonna run like a T9 villa. It has like unique bosses are possessed, and I'm gonna also explain the Fairgraves Tricorne. So I'm gonna show you what it does. This line that is new in this league that has been added is you can be touched by tormented spirits. So the one effect that I noticed of it, and it's probably going to vary based on the build you play at the exact number, but you basically get like a single buff. I'm going to show you, you're going to see it in the game, but before we enter, I want to point at the DPS I have on the tooltip here on my kinetic blast, and it is a 19,000. Okay, so remember this 19,000, and then you're going to see how much I get with the tormented spirit buff, right? So we're going to enter the map. And basically we have divination listed. I try to keep it up as much as I can. I'm gonna try to find some ghosts, and you just have to be possessed by one of them, and then it's gonna last until you basically leave the area. So until you die or portal out, you're gonna keep that buff permanently. So okay, there is a ghost. Now we're touched. You can see this buff here, Fairgraves Tricorne. I'm touched by a tormented spirit. It doesn't stack. I didn't see any changes like when I enter into another ghost. You basically need to touch one of the ghosts, and then you have it for the rest of the map, right? So after I finish the map, after I kill the boss, I'm gonna show you how much damage it actually gives me, but it is a sizable amount. So yeah, I try to enter into this ghost. It doesn't really change anything. It stays the same, basically, this buff. The character is very nice to play. We have 2 inspired learnings, so every time we kill a rare monster, we can get like 2 arch nemesis modifiers stolen from them, which makes our character more powerful. And KB, which is kinetic blast, the skill we're using, is like the best skill at pretty much utilizing these buffs, right? So before you have something like a headhunter, you can rely on the inspired learnings, and it's gonna last like, what is it, 20 seconds? Yeah, 20 seconds is the normal duration. Headhunter lasts a minute, I think, right? And I'm thinking of like making inspired learnings build with like Soul Thirst with Self Curse on Trickster. So it's gonna be something I'm gonna be probably trying to utilize this. Here we got a Legion, pretty easy to clear, especially once you've picked up some buffs. So legions are very nice on this character. We'll try to pick it up as well. This is not a great map for legions, but it's also not the worst. If your character is quick at clearing them, it's actually fine. If your character was like a really slow character, then you'd probably struggle, but we're doing just fine clearing these. I haven't had any issues with that. So you can see my life is extremely low, right? I get like 1,000 unreserved life, so you'd think I would be dying all the time, but well, right as I said, I almost died because I walked into some chaos damage. So then we got a possessed boss. We gotta do some damage to this guy. Gotta watch out for his beam. That's the one thing that can actually hurt me. Oh, there we go. We got Ancient City, some hats, soul rest. Yeah, so that's what you get normally from a boss. So now let's wait for the buffs to expire, and I'm gonna see. I'm gonna show you like how much the Fairgraves Tricorne. So I had 19,000, right? And you can see this buff here. I had 19,000. Now I got 27,000, right? So what is this? Like 40% increase or something in damage, like 40% more damage. So this is a pretty sizable buff. I haven't noticed, it doesn't change my quantity and rarity. When I press the flask, I got the exact same when I have like 90 something quant, right? Was it 96 quant, 77 rarity, and this is with the Tricorne. So that's basically what it does. Just gives me a bunch of damage, like 40% more damage, which is huge, right? So if you have a strategy like I do with the Seance and Unrelenting Torment, plus like the boss rarity, plus the enriched entities, if you're running something like this, plus like the full quant and rarity wheel, then you're gonna be getting a bunch of ghosts anyway. You wanna get ghosts into your map, so you can run like a tormented scarab, and you're gonna be getting this buff very consistently. You just have to, at the beginning of the map, watch out to not like off-screen everything, you know, because you're gonna be killing the ghosts. You gotta find one ghost, run into it, and try to not die, get that buff, and then you're good, right? So let me talk about the character and how to build it. So basically, first things first, we're using KB, so we want to play Deadeye because the extra chains and the extra projectiles scale very well. You also get Tailwind, and you also get the mark effect, and we're using Sniper's Mark on hit for the mark. So that's basically our ascendancy. In terms of the passives, This is very budget version of it, by the way. The total cost that I paid for this, if you shop smart, right, and try to snipe some items and link them yourself and stuff like that, the total cost I paid for this is roughly like 5 divines. And each of the inspired learnings was also 5 divines, right? So at first you can start 5 divines without inspired learnings, then you can get the inspired learnings. There's still 5 divines, I think, right? 4.9, 5, yep. So 5 divines for these. You add 1, even with 1, I was doing this just fine. I started with 1 and then I farmed a little bit of currency. I got another 1. In terms of other jewels we're using, we got a large jewel for conversion. So you wanna just grab wand jewel, right? Large jewel with the wand skills, and you can get Storm's Hand on this. That's gonna get you the extra conversion. So this is 25% of physical damage converted to lightning. We got here we've got 40% physical converted to lightning, and here we've got 40% phys converted to cold. So we're doing mostly cold and lightning damage. This is how the passive skill tree looks like. We're picking up the aura reservation and aura effect here. We're picking up one with nature, so this is crit chance, elemental res, LA damage with attacks. We're grabbing this wheel that I talked about already, the cold damage. We're grabbing the 10% phase as extra damage of random element, and the primeval force as well, which gives us more effect of shock and chill. You can run alternate ailments as well. You can put Secrets of Suffering in here, which probably cost what, like they costed like between 2 and 4 divines, something like that. They're probably cheaper now, but Secrets of Suffering would work pretty well with this. Probably once you have enough damage, it would cap your crit, because we're running at like something like 70 something crit while I'm mapping. We've got the inspired learning setup here, where we're picking Heartseeker, we're picking Survivalist, we're picking Acuity, and we're picking Herbalism. I also have the Favor here. I could probably drop this and run the crit one instead here, and I could drop potentially the one with Evil, but I really like the Chaos Res on a budget setup. You're not gonna have Chaos Res on your gear anywhere, or jewels really, so it's gonna be pretty hard for you to not die to chaos damage. So in order to get some chaos damage, at least chaos resistance, I mean, we got like a -6. We're picking this wheel, and also Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you, which saves you jewel, right? So you don't need a jewel for that. This is pretty important. The leech and on hit, like life on hit and mana on hit, is gonna give you tons because you're hitting a lot with KB. And then we're just picking another aura wheel. We're picking the wand attacks fire additional projectile, and also increases in reduction to spell damage applied to attacks while wielding a wand, right? So these 2 wand wheels as well. You could go for 3rd inspired learning in this slot by picking the herald nodes and picking also this instability node, as well as maybe deep thoughts, and that would allow you to get the 3rd inspired learning into the build if you want. So that's when it comes to the passives. When it comes to the gems themselves, I'm using Kinetic Blast, I'm using Trinity, I'm using increased critical strikes, and I'm using item rarity. So we got item rarity permanently. I'm not swapping this out. I'm just running with the item rarity in here. Inspiration support and elemental damage with attacks. If you wanted to like do some MF calling service, right? You could potentially like, you just get one of these sockets white. So for example, go do Betrayal, and from Vorici get like some of these sockets white, so you can swap Calling Strike instead of like whatever elemental damage with attacks. Doesn't really matter. Just swap into Calling Strike, or you can have like a weapon swap or something for Calling Strike, and basically that way you can also be an MF caller, right, for people. We've got the rest of the gems. Sniper's Mark, Mark on hit, already said that. Blood Rage with life tap, because the Sniper's Mark triggering with Mark on hit would consume too much mana, so I want to have always the mana to be able to trigger that. For the auras, I get Vitality, Purity of Elements, Precision. I can probably run lower level of Precision, but I cannot fit Hatred yet. I would have to have more increased mana reservation in order to fit the Hatred, so we're not running the Hatred yet. The Purity of Elements allows me to cap my resistances, so I could have even a bit worse Venters. You can see I'm overcapped on res, so I could have worse Venters and I would still be able to run them because of the Purity of Elements. But the main reason for that is being immune to ailments. That's why we're not dying much, because I'm not getting shocked, I'm not getting ignited, I'm not getting frozen, so I'm just running around and off-screening things, so it's pretty safe. The rest of the gems, we have for mobility, shield charge, faster attacks, and flame dash. Then we've got Herald of Purity and Arrogance as well, which we're reserving on our life. Then we've got Petrified Blood, We've got Steel Skin on cast when damage taken because we don't have armor pretty much, so Steel Skin is doing better than something like Molten Shell. It's gonna stop more damage. And then we've got Cast on Death Portal because again, even though I don't die much, sometimes I die and I would like to save time and get right back to where I was, right? So 1k life, you're gonna be sometimes dying, so this is useful. When it comes to gear, we are pretty much maximizing quantity and then getting a bunch of rarity as well. So we've got the Greed's Embrace. On the Greed's Embrace, you're looking for the max quant roll and as high as you can get the rarity roll. Then we've got 2 Ventors. For the Ventors, I bought my Ventors for like 50 chaos each. So this is positive resistances, just a bunch of cold res, bunch of lightning res, a little bit of fire res, 8 quant, 20 rarity, positive life as well, like 40 life, that's pretty good. And then of course the implicits. And on this one I got similar stats, except I got a bit less life and a lower cold res. So if you look at total elemental resistances, life, and if we look at rarity, quantity being like this, this costs 10 chaos, 20 chaos. Yeah, you'll pay 20 chaos for a Ventor like this. You can find stuff like that pretty cheaply. Then we've got a Viscous Leash for the Rampage, resistances, the strength. I actually need the strength in order to be run everything I'm running. And then we also have the extra quantity and Rampage, right? This is very, very nice. We've got a Goldworm enchanted with attack and cast speed. I was running, I ran a few labs on my other character to try to get the enchant for Kinetic Blast on this helmet, Fairgraves Tricorne, but unfortunately I didn't find anything, but I was able to just enchant my gloves and boots with something decent. So we're running that. For the shield, Centauri's Answer, the only thing that matters here is pretty much the quantity, so you want to make sure you have 8% quant on this. For Amulet, you can run a bunch of things, right? There is the Great Wolf Talisman, there is you can run like a rare Shaper Amulet. If you get like a gold amulet with Shaper Influence, you can roll quantity and rarity on it with the rarity implicit. That would be pretty good. Or you can get like a cheap talisman with quantity on it, up to 10% quant, and I got it with extra rarity and some extra strength because I needed more strength. I paid like something like between 5 to 10 chaos for this, so very, very cheap. And then we've got the wand, which is probably the most expensive item other than 6 linking your chest, is going to be the wand. So the wand matters because your damage is going to be scaling off of that, and you want to have as much physical damage as possible. You can buy a wand, so this is how much? This is like 300 physical DPS. Wand will cost you right now 30, 50 chaos, like below 1 divine. With extra DPS, with extra elemental DPS, you might pay like 2 divines for something like that, right? So it's like 1 or 2 divines would be the cost of like an entry level, like 300 plus physical DPS wand that you want to get. And then we've got the Fairgraves Tricorne. If you don't want to run the Fairgraves Tricorne because you don't like being touched by ghosts, then you can run a simple rarity helmet. So you want to buy a base with Kinetic Blast, has 75% chance for additional explosion. This is the best enchant that you can get for your skill. You can also get something with like Purity of Elements Reservation or Hatred Reservation and try to fit that. And then what you want to do is you want to roll Greed Essences until you hit some rarity and an open suffix. So I hit, I used like, I don't know, 10 essences. Eventually I hit the rarity on a prefix and on a suffix. So we got 2 rarity rolls together giving us 35% rarity. And then we got 44% increased rarity of items dropped by slain, rare or unique enemies, which is a craft from the bench. So that's it when it comes to this portion of the gear. And then we also have flasks, which are pretty important. So Taste of Hate makes you tankier, it makes you do more damage, very straightforward. Quicksilver Flask just to go faster, because this character is painfully slow. If you're not shield charging and if you're not using your flask, then the character is going to be painfully slow. So you want to have a good Quicksilver Flask. Then we've got Granite Flask, because I want to be tanky, I want to have some tankiness, I don't want to just fall over and die. You could run other flasks instead of that. You could get phasing, for example. A quartz flask would be pretty decent. Phasing is very nice to have. I definitely would find it useful if I had phasing on this character. And then we've got this league's tech. So pretty much every single build can run this. No matter what build you're playing, you could probably benefit from putting this on your character. So this is a gold flask, And on this gold flask, you wanna use the enkindling orb, or was it enkindling, or which one? It's the instilling orb craft for used when you hit a rare or unique enemy, if not already in effect. So when you hit a rare enemy, it automatically is gonna use this flask, and you're gonna have the extra rarity when you're killing it, as long as you kill it within 6 seconds, I guess. And then you can get extra flask charges when you crit. I crit most of the time. You can get, for example, gain 3 charges when you're hit by enemies. But if you're being hit by enemies on this build, you're probably dying. So I didn't go with that one. And then we craft increased rarity of items found during flask effect. You get this craft by unveiling Cinder Swallow Urn from the Mastermind fight. And then we also have Divination Distillate. So the way we're keeping up Divination Distillate, this is something that a lot of people have struggled with understanding. So, okay, we are running Petrified Blood, right? So Petrified Blood makes it so that if we are using skills and we are above half HP, then we're going to be spending our life, right? So if I heal myself with the flask, right? Now, as I'm using skills, I'm spending my life, as you can see, right? So as I'm using also Blood Rage, I'm spending my life as well, right? Well, actually my regen is keeping up from the vitality, but I'm spending my life until I get to half HP. And that allows me to use the Divination Distillate and just keep running it while I'm slightly below, slightly above 50% life, right? So this allows you to keep it. It's a very short duration, and you don't want to quality this because the quality is going to actually increase the amount recovered, and you don't want to increase the amount recovered because you want it to just go as long as possible and not recover too much, right? So you don't quality this flask. And the other reservation that I have here is basically Herald of Purity, just because we have that amount that I can just use for something, right? And Herald of Purity is going to increase your phase, and then your phase is going to scale your elemental damage that you're converting, or that you're gaining also from the inspired learning. So hopefully that explains what this character is like and how to build it. This character is capable of running like a white T16, okay, if I put like a random T16. So I'm gonna show like a random T16 map. You can see we're in a T16 ramparts, just a white map in here, just so I can show this character in this environment. It's definitely not suitable for it, but you could try to force it, right? Maybe with a third inspired learning, maybe with a better wand and some more investment, you could get it to do that. But definitely this budget version of it is not meant to run this content, especially considering how few rare monsters are there, because you're basically just not getting any buffs. Okay, there we go. We got some buffs. We got like 4 buffs. But it's really hard to get enough buffs to just go fast enough, right, without the juicing. And the more juice and the more difficulty you add to the map, the harder it is to do it with this type of a character. But you can see it's clearing the T16, but you probably would be dying a lot and you'd be struggling doing this. So I don't recommend. I recommend running like T12 probably is what I would go for. You can run like a T12 Villa with one sextant, for example, right? Okay, give me some good loot. Nope, we're not getting anything. So you could run something like this, but it wouldn't be fun. So that's basically it when it comes to the character. Hopefully this helps you understand how to set it up. And again, if you want to learn more about this, Kobe Black Mamba has actually a really good video about how to make like a higher budget character like this from the previous league. So I would recommend checking that out as well. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time, guys. Bye bye.